Hi everyone, this is Killshot from 99 Gaming, and this is The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 1. We're going to talk about Alpha's border warning. This is going to be a little bit of a recap. We're going to talk about we're going to tie in what happened in Episode 1 with some slight predictions of what we think is going to happen and how it's going to relate to the overall story. So I want to thank you all for being here. We will give several warnings throughout the stream. I know a lot of people tune in. I do have to tell you that I'm not overly thrilled about doing these a week early, but we got to do what we got to do, and I know it does isolate some of our audience. Before we get too far into it, I do want to give a special shout out to our Patreon army and also our Patreon PDL supporters. So I'm going to let you guys know a little bit more about that as we go through this stream, talk about the schedule for the rest of the week. Really excited to be here with you guys. And you guys can see in the top left and top right-hand corner, a lot of people, if you're new to the channel, you don't know what we do. We really love The Walking Dead. But we also have some other streams that we do, Random Things, Freestyle Friday, and a gaming venture that we've thrown out there. And this week is going to be the first week that we take our Play Dead Live scenario and actually make it into a player versus player, team versus team. So in the top left-hand corner, we got Mitch the Witch, and in the top right-hand corner, we got Fireman Finney. It is going to go down. We're going to have a lot of fun with that this week. Stay tuned because we'll post a little bit more. So those of you that came here to talk about The Walking Dead, let's jump into it. So in the episode, the one thing that we discussed in the reaction video was that the show was broken down into chapters. And one chapter in particular was the name of episode number 1, Lines We Cross. I found that extremely interesting because it is a figurative statement, and then it is also a literal statement as well, because it's kind of articulating what people will do and what they have to do, but then literally, if you cross the line, there is going to be punishment, there is going to be payback. And I know we discussed a little bit of Alpha's border. That is going to be what really starts this war. And whether or not it's, I guess, a little bit of the chicken or the egg. Is Alpha expanding the border, or is the group doing something and trying to step over in territory because either they don't know where the borders are, they're not clearly marked, or desperation. This is the second time they run into a desperate situation that made them cross. So let me get your thoughts. And I'm going to ask you guys to do me a favor. Do it as if you're not a member of the Alexandria group or you're a member of the Whispers. Do it as a neutral party. What's your opinion? Where do you think the right and wrong, and I guess even with Lines We Cross, there's some blurred lines, right? We don't know who's right and wrong. So I want to get a couple of your thoughts in here. Julia Musa, I guess you never heard this land is your land. Interesting that, but it is the deal they made. So I don't know who all would have signed off on that, or maybe they should up and move. But if you make that deal, it does have to stand, right? That's a good point. Because it's hard to think of people wearing skin masks are in the right. And in normal circumstances, I would agree with you. But the exception is that that's the deal they made. Hey, stop killing our people. Okay, we'll stop crossing into my land. Deal. And now it's getting a little bit different. So Dark Star says we killed them first. It's very true. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to get sympathy for the Whispers. That's always just, it's a gray area. I know with the Saviors, we went through it. With Alexandria, who's right, who's wrong. I've always needed the Whispers to be just blatant evil. Blatant evil. But they did get into, see, Christmas Girl says they killed Jesus first. But there were some of the, I guess that's a good point. I'll have to go back and check that out to see if they initially killed the Whispers that were buffers, or were some of the walkers that were buffers, and then they killed the Whisperers after Jesus. That I'm not sure about. I mean, I know they unmasked one of they thought was the walkers and it was dead, but I don't know if that was after it killed you. But regardless, there was a fight. Somebody was going to die. That piece of it I'm not as worried about as who killed who. I'm more interested in, is Alpha expanding her territory? And the other thing that might have gone a little bit under the radar, how about, this is the second time that the group has crossed into Alpha's border. And it is extremely poetic. And if you can tell me what is poetic about the two opportunities and the two necessities where they had to cross the border, I will give you a kills coin. We will add it to the ledger. It actually is brilliant. And it is 3 words. Oh, Ben Stevenson is absolutely, wow. That is super fast. Kel, can we get Ben Stevenson a kills coin? Absolutely. That's the 3 words I was looking for. You like read my mind. Fire and ice. They had to cross the border when they were desperate because everything was frozen and they were going to starve to death and freeze to death. And they had to cross the border when the fire. So Aaron said maybe it'll get us some good graces because we're helping them. I don't think so. I think Aaron it's wishful thinking. But here's a follow-up question. Is Alpha that literal? Let this sink in for a minute. We're going to do a little bit of funneling because we're talking about the borders. We're talking about crossing lines. Is Alpha that literal that she's ready to go to war over a fire? I like the fact that so many people are saying yes. But I'm going to challenge all of you that are saying yes. And I'm going to say, you're all wrong. I'm going to say no. Those of you watching, you're watching the playback, I'm going to give you a detailed explanation of why I just disagreed with almost my entire audience. And if you're watching for the first time, I want your thoughts below in the comments as well. Alpha is not that literal that she is going to kill them over crossing into the border. What is this season about? What are the first few episodes about? Because let's remember, they've already crossed over the border. So, to go into the border again, across the border again, Alpha already had the opportunity. She could have went to war. She chose not to go to war. It's about fear. Not the bad fear that we watched in Fear the Walking Dead, but real fear. Because there was nothing really scary about Fear the Walking Dead. How many people saw the opening minutes Or, I'm sorry, not the opening minutes. How many people saw the teaser for episode number 2? Hold that thought, two hands in a radio. Okay. I'm going to give another kills coin. If you can tell me something that ties into my point that Alpha stated in the teaser for next week. And it was poignant. It was very, very strong. We're going to see who was paying attention. Not we're always watching. The borders will break them. Joey the Gator. Maybe I'm off a word here. She either said the borders will crush them or the borders will break them. So Joey the Gator, I think it was the borders will break them. Close enough. So, exactly, Lynn Nesvik says, well, what does that mean? It ties in perfectly to the fear and paranoia narrative. So, if she wanted to go to war, she could have went to Beta and said, you know what? They crossed over our borders. Let's attack them now. If she wanted to punish them for going over and putting out the fire, she could get everybody together and say, they crossed our borders. Let's go over and attack them. Alpha understands this group, as it stands right now, is a formidable group. Would you agree? Would you agree that even though the group suffered some losses, would you agree that, hey, they're watching, they see what they do. You got Ezekiel, you got Jerry, you got Darrell, you got Carol, you got Michonne, you got Aaron with a fake hand, you got Magna, Yumiko. You got a badass group of people, everybody. This is not somebody that you roll into and you take them down. Because if you do that, oh, they're taking out half of the Whispers. Maybe the Whispers lose. All right. Let's give away one more kills coin. Michonne even hinted to Alpha's upper hand by saying that Alpha had something. Kills coin goes out to the first person that can tell me what it is that Michonne said Alpha has. Two hands in a radio popped up the quickest. She's got a nuclear weapon. Now, Kel, hopefully you're adding this. So let's dig down a little bit further. What was she comparing to? What is Alpha's nuclear weapon? She's got a herd. She has got the ultimate weapon. Now, you got two generals trying to motivate their group. So what is the common link that between Alpha and between Michonne? It's one word. The common link between the two. One is pushing it, and one's trying to protect against it. And I'll give you another hint. It ties in to the theme of what we're talking about. Once again, Benjamin Steven and Najee Watts are on fire tonight. There was no kills coin for that one. It's about fear. Alpha is trying to instill fear. Michonne is doing everything she can. How many times did she mention that? Even in next week. She's saying, we don't want people to panic. We don't want people to be afraid. We can't have people be afraid. So Alpha's whole motivation this season is not about killing the group. It's about scaring the group and then killing the group when they're weakest. Because Alpha understands that the group is not weak right now. Alpha understands that you got to have a few more people fall out. If Alpha has 200, and even if our group has 100, 3/4 of Alpha's team is going bye-bye. So why don't you up those odds? When you can get, hey, maybe you lose 20%, but a few people get scared, they're not going to fight, or if they fight, they're always going to be looking at somebody's hands. They don't know how to attack a walker. They don't know how to attack a person. It changes their whole strategy of how they go about it. And we got that feel right from episode number 1. This is why I thought episode number 1 was absolutely amazing. I know a couple people said it was a setup, it was a good build-up, it was a little... I respectfully disagree. I think it was amazing, but you have to look at each one of these chapters and what the chapter meant and how it ties into everything. Yes, we got the satellite, and I know one person had typed and said, "Hey, I love the show, but I got to make myself forget that it was just convenient that a satellite fell." Well, satellite fell. It didn't fall in Alexandria. It fell close to the ocean side. It didn't fall on Kingdom. It didn't fall on Hilltop. And you know what? After 8 or 9 years, yeah, okay. I can buy a piece of a satellite falling. I mean, I've never personally seen one. But the other thing, keep in mind that the reason we don't see a whole lot of satellites falling now is because there's people maintaining them. Stuff is going to start falling because there's less power, there's less electricity, there's less manpower. I mean, all of those things, that is not a, to me, it was not a Fear the Walking Dead coincidence. And I could see how some people right after, this was my fear, literally and figuratively. My fear was that Fear the Walking Dead was so bad that people were going to carry some of that negative connotation over into the Walking Dead story. And they needed to get out of the gates fast. And lo and behold, it happened, right? You're already thinking about, all the conveniences and coincidences and all those things. And then when the satellite falls, they're like, okay, yeah, satellite falls. No, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that story. I like the way it played out. And I like that being the central theme that caused the fire, because it certainly would cause the fire. Luckily for the group, it fell close to Oceanside where they have water. So we've got just a great narrative. And we haven't even gotten into the breakdowns of all the characters and what the characters mean. This is the beauty of The Walking Dead. A central theme, a defined villain, and characters that are interesting. Case in point. One of you, I don't know who it was, please admit to it, which one of you zoomed in to Daryl's back pocket and noticed that he had the manual on how to learn sign language in his back pocket? He's carrying it around with him. Interesting story, right? Not the central story, but we got to see Connie. We got to see Darrell. I think it was important because it's going to dispel a lot of the Carol and Darrell relationship myths that are out there. But then the question would be, and I also like the fact that Carol was quick with Ezekiel, but she made it a point to go up and hug Connie. So once again, telling the audience like, nope, Carol's not stepping on any toes here. Carol knows her friendship with Darrell. They even took it a step further. If you did not get the point that Carol and Darrell are nothing but friends, how about when Darrell said, well, I don't want my best friend going away on a boat. And then they talked about the friendship. So it was a theme. It was kind of like a mini theme. Over and over, best friends, friends, best friends, best friends. No jealousy, no commitment, nothing there. Very clear. We get it. But it didn't take away from the story. And of all the good things that happened, they transitioned that conversation from cheesy to, I got an idea. Why don't we just eat and not talk? And moved it on. Moved it on to the next step. But then we also got a little bit of Negan. We got a little bit of that, maybe he wants to be in charge again. Maybe he's tired of taking orders. He said, I'm okay with it right now, but he doesn't. I thought this was Negan planting the seed for the future. I'm okay with it right now, but I don't want to be them. So Negan is afraid that because he's locked up, because of the things he did in the past, he's going to be stereotyped. Of all the things he's done, all the tomatoes he's picked, all the staying out of trouble. He doesn't want to be classified as alpha. Now, what I really wished is when Eugene was measuring the legs and sizing up the baby, I really wished we'd get a flashback of Rosita visiting Negan in jail and we found out it's Negan's baby. Now, that would be an epic bombshell. Hey, you had a little bit of Spencer, a little bit of Abraham, a little bit of Father G, a little bit of Sadiq. Why not a little bit of Negan? One can hope, right? But I will say, we had a very interesting character development. We see Negan taking a step. Which other character do you think took the biggest step in episode number 1? There was one. I'll give another kills coin. First person that can get it. Christmas Girl gets the kills coin. Absolutely. Aaron took the biggest step. You guys remember last month. We had a funnel theory. We were breaking it down. And the question was posed by one of you and said, Kills, can Aaron get the Rick Grimes storyline? And I said, it's a stretch. They said, well, he's starting to look like him. He's got the arm missing. And I said, I don't think he can solely get it. And here's the reason. As long as you have Darrell on the show, Aaron's not going to be the lead on the show. But with Michonne leaving, then we got that romantic Rick Grimes interest out of the picture. We've seen Aaron as somewhat of a negotiator, doesn't want to cause controversy. But when Aaron said, I'm tired of being nice, Michonne's gone. Aaron's tired of being nice. Aaron will not be the lead. He will not be the lead, Michael Curie. There is no way that he will take that mantle from Darrell. But I think he's going to be a strong co-star. Hang on. When Rick and Darrell were on the show simultaneously, who was the no doubt about it star of the show, and who was the number 2 on the show? Got to remind you of a couple things is going on. Rick was number 1. Darrell was number 2. So I don't think it's a stretch of the imagination, and I don't think it's a bad gig either, to say now Darrell is number 1, and Aaron can go into Darrell's old role. Not, I don't care, I'm going to kill that son of a bitch. Not that, because Darrell will actually speak words now, and Aaron will speak, but I think Aaron will be the Daryl Dixon of the show. He will be the right-hand man. Literally, because he only has a right hand. He doesn't have... Okay. That was pretty good, if you think about it. I had to look really quickly and see which hand he was missing, and it is his left hand. But I see Aaron transitioning. He doesn't have his love interest anymore. He doesn't have Eric. He lost his fling, which was undoubtedly Jesus. He had strong feelings for Jesus as well. I think that was kind of confirmed when the 2 people he mentioned, Eric's dead, Jesus dead. He didn't mention all the other people. He didn't say Glenn is dead, Abraham's dead, didn't say Rick's dead, even though they technically think Rick is dead. The 2 people he mentioned were Eric and Jesus. So certainly implied that there was a relationship there over that long period of time. But now Aaron is tired of accepting what happens. Aaron is saying, I'm tired of being nice. So he's got a badass glove. He's tired of being nice. Aaron steps up big time. Ben Stevenson, super chat, and thank you, Ben, says, Aaron can easily take the lead of many of the people, but not the lead role in the show. He can also take many of the comic events of Rick. Absolutely. Ben Stevenson is like in my mind tonight. That's like he was fast with the fire and ice. My sentiments exactly. Aaron can certainly lead. Aaron cannot display the star power and overtake Darrell. Perfectly said. That's exactly where I was going with that. Negan is going to continue to straddle the line. So take a step back, and if you rated this first episode as anything but a 10, look at all the stories within the story. We've already got enough food for thought. This episode gave us enough things to talk about for 3 weeks. And it didn't give us so much that they're not going to answer all these questions. They gave us legitimate storylines. So we had love, we had friendship, we had fear, we had desperation and necessity, but we also had that moving moment. And there was one scene that was absolutely, would rip your heart out. And if you didn't feel it, you don't have a heart. And absolutely, Julia, Judith and RJ. The Judith and RJ, the brave man. And the fact that RJ still does not know what's going on with his dad, where his dad is, why he's never seen his dad, where is his dad, all of those things. So you know, absolutely, that they are setting this up for a sit-down conversation with Michonne and RJ to go find Rick Grimes. Look, it may seem, as we get closer and closer to it happening, this is the interesting thing about funneling down theories. When you have a really, really good one, you just kind of get this feeling, right? And when you start to see it play out, it almost feels like, well, it's common sense as you get closer and closer to it. But before it was officially announced that Michonne was leaving, we were discussing Michonne leaving. And many people have said, nope, Michonne's leaving with Judith and RJ. And we put down a bold prediction that Michonne would be forced to leave and take RJ. And with Virgil showing up sometime this season, probably on a boat, with Judith really, I think, growing, coming of age, putting her foot down, it really is starting to look like Michonne will leave and take RJ with her. Will the Bill, I only have one question about the episode. Shoot, Fireman Finney, let's go. Let's get that question out there. Emmy says, what if RJ stays? I see zero chance that Michonne would leave. Judith can take care of herself. RJ clearly can't. There's no way Michonne's leaving RJ to fight the Whispers or in anybody's care while they fight the Whispers. That just can't happen, Emmy. RJ will meet Rick in the movies. I think RJ meets Rick in the movies, and I think RJ will grow up and be a part of The Walking Dead in the future. I think that they plan on doing this thing for another 10 years, and when some of these characters do start to move on, RJ Grimes, I see him as a lead on the show. So, Will the Bill, the question is the ending. The only question that I would have with the ending, and I'm not going to start a conspiracy theory that's out there, But are we 100% that Carol just wasn't having like a vision of Alpha? I think it's real. I think the two of them saw each other because I think it's going to escalate. I know Carol is going to be seeing some flashbacks that they're all suffering, but I don't think it's going to be one of those like she looked down, she saw Alpha, and then she blinked, and yeah. See, Will, I think that's a fair question because that was one of the things going through my mind as well. So Will the Bill says, did Carol really see Alpha or did she imagine it? I think it's very real because there's going to be a lot of standoffs between the two of them. She's been looking. She found her. I don't think I don't think that they crossed the border. But I do think that Alpha knows that they crossed the border. And let's play it out. Even if she didn't really see Alpha, it doesn't matter. I could see it going either direction. If Alpha's not really there, it's going to tell you a little bit about Carol's state of mind. That she's suffering from some of the same things that everybody else. Will the Bill, it still made the hair on my neck stand up. So let me approach it in this direction. All right? And I'm going to go to Chris Rainey's point. What is at the bottom of that cliff, that valley? The herd. So, would Alpha be there without a mask around the herd? They moved the herd to another location. So let me say it this way. The way it was written, I would not be surprised if Alpha's really there. I would not be surprised if Carol does a double take and thinks she sees something that she didn't see. Neither story would surprise me. So what I want to say to those of you that are passionate one way or the other, there's nothing in my mind that's definitive that they can't make it go either direction. Does that make sense? Like I could see them, if they want to extend the Alpha introduction a little bit longer, and they wanted to show that, hey, Sadiq's not the only person suffering here. Carol is as well. Because we know Carol's going to see some flashbacks of Henry. But my opinion is that it really is Alpha. But I could be wrong. I'm not willing to stake a huge bet flying down to Georgia on it. But yeah, either way would work really well into the storyline. So see, this is what's so great about The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead they're not a one-trick pony. the story is so good that we're confused, right? We don't know what Carol's state of mind is right now. Part of the reason that we also think it could be a flashback, or a hallucination, not a flashback, is because Darrell turned and walked away. So it was interesting that Darrell and Carol were both there, and Darrell didn't see Alpha, but when Darrell walked away, Carol saw Alpha, which would lend more believability to the fact that it's in Carol's mind because she's been looking for her. So, like I said, because if I was Carol and I saw Alpha, I'd probably be like, Darrell, get over here and shoot her quick, right? So, either way, it's still going to be good. So what we've managed to do is create dual narratives. But I honestly think if we go back and watch it, I don't know that we're going to be able to piece enough pictures together. I mean, the pictures will validate what we think is real. And, Christmas Girl says, I buy it's real because Alpha found herself before seeing Carol. She did like when she lost Lydia. Okay, but like I said, to you, that's going to be real. But then someone else is going to say, well, I don't think it's real because how did she creep out in the 2 seconds when Darrell turned his back? Why didn't Darrell see her? So either way, I think it depends on your perspective. I'm okay with it being real because I'm okay with the storyline just moving forward and them just setting the tone right now that there's going to be a standoff. But I'm also okay, I guess, with the fact that Carol could be losing her mind as well. She does say she's got to die. Great question. Great call out. Great intrigue. Slithered out of there like a snake. She is like a snake. But it is so good. And, as far as the Alpha kill, I know a lot of people really want it to be Carol. But the Negan kill could still work. See, here's the thing that they're doing with Negan. Number one, spoiler alert for the comic, Negan kills Alpha in the comic. But if we're talking about who could kill Alpha on the TV show, and it's not because, well, it's like this in the comic, somebody could do it. And I'll tell you why I could see Negan being the one to kill Alpha. Is because of the point he made in episode number 1, where he said, I don't want people to see me as them. So now he already has his motivation to go out and be the one to finish the deal. Darrell could do it. Aaron could do it. Carol could do it. Negan could do it for Carol, for Henry. And I don't think Alpha's done killing yet. I mean, imagine if Alpha kills Ezekiel. Then, Carol still has a tie to Ezekiel. Carol has a tie to Henry. So a lot of things can still play out with that. Love the Michonne story. Love the Negan story. Certainly like Aaron's character development. Rosita she's dead. When I saw Rosita back to being old Rosita, the light bulb went off. They are not letting her go out like a wimp. They are bringing old Rosita back, tough, full scale. They're going to give her that epic send-off, but they're not going to let her be a pushover before they send her out. Yeah, it's certainly gone. But I got to say, this premiere was one of the most in-depth premieres that I've ever seen for The Walking Dead. This was actually not my favorite episode, but I think as far as setting the tone for the season, I think it did a tremendous job. All right, we got a pretty thorough show tonight. Let me make a couple of announcements. So if you guys could hold tight just for a couple minutes. Number one, if you guys could slap that like button, that would be phenomenal. If you guys like talking about The Walking Dead, you like hanging out with us every night, we're going to be doing theories, predictions. We'll watch the show early, spoilers. So the way our schedule is going to work this season, we got, and Ben Stevenson super chatting says, I think many camera shots or even movie quality. It was great. The camera shots were movie quality, Ben. The chapters, I think, kept it nice and organized. And it makes it a good reference point. It certainly does make it a good reference point so we can kind of drill back down to that chapter. So because AMC Premiere is going to be showing The Walking Dead Friday nights, I know, everybody. Boo. We're not fans of that. But when things like this happen, we have to adapt as well. So we've looked at our schedule and how our nights are going to transpire. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a mock schedule we'll post on our Facebook fan page. So I'm going to start with Mondays. It's a good day to start, right? So Monday, actually, you know what? We'll start with Sundays. So our Sunday stream is going to be the reaction video. We always like to get our complete, not everybody's going to buy AMC Premiere, so we're all going to watch it probably twice. So watching the show on Sunday night and responding real time with a whole bunch of people that haven't seen it yet, we're going to do our reactions. Monday, we'll do our recaps. Tuesday, there'll always be a Walking Dead topic, the bigger Walking Dead universe that we want to drill down to. Sometimes that's 3 or 4 episodes in advance. Wednesday nights will be our real funnel video. Wednesday nights when we're going to do our bold predictions. So the reason we're going to do them on Wednesdays is because a lot of people are going to know the true spoilers on Friday. So if we do them on Wednesday night, it gives us time to really get our... I think that's one of the streams where we have the most fun, is we can get all the data out there. It doesn't segregate, doesn't isolate. We know that it's just our guesses. It's what we do. Thursday, we'll see. Thursday, we might take a day off. Friday is going to be Freestyle Friday and PDL until January. So Freestyle Friday, if you guys don't know what that is, it's freestyle topics. It's a Walking Dead topic. It's anything goes. And then we tie into our real live gaming, role-playing, Play Dead Live. Now, a lot of people are going to hang out with us on Freestyle Friday and Play Dead Live, and then afterwards, they're going to go watch Walking Dead that night, and they're going to know all the spoilers. So, if they know all the spoilers, Saturday morning, we're going to do used to be our coffee with Killshot. So our Saturday morning stream is now going to be our Walking Dead spoiler stream. So this is going to be my schedule. If you guys want to follow along, totally up to you. But when we finish the Play Dead Live, I'm going to go at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, watch The Walking Dead. And Saturday mornings, the people that want to talk about it will get to talk about it. So that way people don't have to avoid our fan page and all of those things. And then, of course, Sunday, we're going to be back with our reactions. So that gives us a whole slate. I think that schedule works. It shouldn't be where people have to take a week off from our Facebook fan page and not be able to talk to each other. It's only going to really give us a day and a half that we have to kind of keep things bottled up. But Saturday morning streams, you want to get together, after you watched it the night before, watch it late Friday night and then get together with us and let's talk about it. And then we'll kind of zip it up, and then we'll wait until after the show plays and we'll do it again. Hopefully that works for everybody. I'm excited for a phenomenal Walking Dead season. We are not going to stream tomorrow night. We will be back Thursday night. And, of course, Friday, I am super, super psyched about Friday. How many of you really, really like Play Dead Live? How many of you guys have been involved in Play Dead Live, or you've watched a playback of Play Dead Live, or you've had a moment that something was written and you can relate to it, all of the above in the scenarios? Because I've gotten tremendous feedback on Play Dead Live. So this week, Friday night, is going to be the first time that we actually transition. We're going to start out with a scenario. We're going to have two groups. We're going to have Group A, Mitch DeWitch's group, and Group B, Fireman Finney. They will both be going through scenarios. So we'll start with Group A. They'll make a couple decisions, and they're going to make their way to a common point. And then we're going to put them on pause just for a little bit, and then we're going to go to Fireman Finney's group of 5. And then they're going to go through and make their decisions. Hopefully nobody dies, and they're going to try to survive. And eventually, we're going to have two groups that are going to meet in the middle. And then it's going to transition from a scenario to player versus player, where one team is going to win. Now, if Mitch DeWitch's group loses a couple players along the way, and let's say only 3 survive, and Will the Bill, all 5 of theirs get through their scenario, it'll be 5 versus 3. So the scenario is going to be a big part of the PvP. It could be 1 versus 1. It could be 1 versus 5. We don't know how it's going to play out. It's going to be completely unique. But this week is going to be the first time that we actually have player versus player, team versus team. Super, super excited about the scenario. So I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. You guys are absolutely phenomenal. Can you guys do me a big favor? And Will the Bill says, I'm going straight out of Compton Friday. Now, keep in mind, we know 2 people from each team. That means 6 of you that are in this stream are going to be randomly chosen for which team that you're going to be on. So some are going to be spectators, some are going to be involved. The spectators can super chat obstacles and help. The teams will be able to super chat obstacles and help. Let's say Will's in desperation and he super chats a detriment to the other team. There is a die roll. There is a chance that he could grief the other team and slow the other team down. Let's say somebody's onlooking and they're watching and they want to give a boost to the other team. They may super chat that. Just because they super chat it, though, doesn't mean it's going to happen. It means there's a chance it could happen. And the more unrealistic it is, the harder. You can't say, hey, Will's by himself and I'm going to raise up 5,000 army of the dead that are going to surround him and devour everybody. It's not going to be that extreme. So we're going to add multipliers to it. So the less extreme it is, the more chance that your super chat will actually be effective. And the more creative it is, the more likely that we are to include it. So a lot of you guys are here. Tune in Friday night because you'll definitely get a chance and people are going to be involved in that. Once we go live, you'll be able to pick your own team. So we'll have predetermined teams and we'll go through scenarios and get down to the wire. So many good ideas. I'm really, really hyped about it. So the last thing I was going to do, I was going to ask you guys, we have Patreons, we have channel members, we have super chatters, moderators, we have the Army, each and every one of you. William says, I want that, and that. I'm going to ask everybody watching in here right now, and everybody watching the playback, can you guys give a huge shout out for our Patreons? Our Patreons are funding a lot of the research and development. They're funding a lot of the print, a lot of the time, the scenarios, the graphics. As PDL grows, that's a Patreon venture, and I just so much pride in that Patreon group. We have people there that have contributed for 2, 3, 4 years. We put the list up there. Many of you are patrons and also channel members, but if you guys can give a shout out to the patrons, because they're making the gameplay and the development accelerate. So thank you so much for everything that you guys do. Also, a special shout out for all the channel members. If you guys are interested in becoming a Patreon, there's a link down below. We've got several tiers of patrons. We added a brand new tier of funding that we're going to have short print collectibles. So these scenarios that we're doing are actually going to go to print with some cover art. And I'm going to mail some of these out quarterly to some of the higher tier patrons. We're going to have branded dice, branded die bags. We're going to have custom character sheets. So a lot of those things will be available for our patrons. So thanks so much for everything that you guys do. Appreciate everybody being here tonight one last time. If you had a great time tonight, if you like The Walking Dead, if you're going to hang out with us all season long, give this video a thumbs up. And I will see all of you on Thursday night at 9:30 for a Walking Dead topic. And hopefully I'm going to see every one of you Friday night at 8 o'clock for our Freestyle Friday and also Play Dead Live. Everybody have a good night. Peace.